Marcus spent a restless night in his apartment above the shop, jumping at every sound from the station's ventilation system. The alien roar echoed in his mind, and he found himself checking the security monitors every few minutes. The ship sat quietly in his bay, its soft purple glow visible through the workshop windows. When morning came, Marcus made a decision that would change his life forever. Instead of reporting the ship to station security or trying to sell it, he decided to finish the repairs. Something about the vessel called to him, and his curiosity as a mechanic outweighed his fear. He returned to work with renewed determination, diving deeper into the ship's systems. The biological components were the most challenging part. They seemed to be some kind of living tissue that interfaced directly with the mechanical systems, creating a hybrid technology that was both fascinating and disturbing. Marcus discovered that the ship's previous owner had been wounded badly. There were traces of what looked like blood on several surfaces, and the medical bay showed signs of recent use. Emergency medical protocols were still active in the ship's computer, suggesting that the pilot had been trying to treat serious injuries before the ship finally died. As he worked, Marcus began to develop a grudging respect for whoever had built this vessel. The engineering was elegant and efficient, with systems that seemed to anticipate damage and route around it automatically. The ship was designed to keep fighting even when severely damaged, suggesting it belonged to a warrior culture that valued survival above all else. The power core repairs took most of the day. Marcus had to carefully remove several infected biological components and replace them with mechanical alternatives he fabricated in his workshop. It was delicate work that required him to understand both alien biology and advanced engineering principles. When he finally restored full power to the ship, the transformation was remarkable. Systems that had been dormant for months came alive with purpose. The ship's hull brightened, its purple glow intensifying until it seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. Displays throughout the cockpit activated, showing star charts and tactical information that Marcus couldn't read, but could appreciate for their complexity. The ship's AI system came online with a series of soft chimes. Marcus watched in fascination as the alien script on the displays shifted and changed, apparently running diagnostic routines. Whatever language this was, it was beautiful to watch, flowing like water across the screens. Then something unexpected happened. The ship began trying to communicate with him directly. The displays showed what appeared to be translation routines, with symbols gradually shifting from alien script to rough approximations of human letters. It was primitive and slow, but Marcus realized the ship was learning his language in real time. "Hello?" appeared on the main display, spelled out in slightly distorted English letters. Marcus stared at the screen for a long moment before typing a response on the ship's input panel. "Hello, can you understand me?" "Learning. You repair ship, why?" The question caught Marcus off guard. He thought for a moment before responding. "It needed fixing. That's what I do. You are not Kethvar. You are small, weak. Why you help?" Marcus bristled slightly at being called weak, but he was too fascinated by the conversation to take offense. "I'm human. We fix things. It's what we're good at." "Human," the display repeated. "Not in memory banks." "New species?" "Probably new to you," Marcus typed. "We're from Sol system. We've only been traveling in space for a few hundred years." The ship went silent for several minutes, apparently processing this information. When it responded, the text came much faster, as if its language programs were improving rapidly. "Ship belongs to Kethvar warrior Zarthak. He is wounded. Seeks return to home territory. You have made this possible." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "Where is Zarthak now?" "Unknown. Ship separated from warrior during battle. He pursues enemies who took his packmates. Ship was damaged, could not follow. Packmates?" Marcus typed. "Kethvar fight in packs. Packmates captured by Veltar raiders. Zarthak follows to rescue them. Ship fails, warrior continues on foot." Marcus began to understand the situation. This Zarthak was some kind of alien warrior whose ship had been damaged during a rescue mission. He had continued pursuing his enemies without his ship, leaving it behind when it could no longer function. The loyalty and determination required for such an action impressed Marcus despite himself. "How long ago?" he asked. 47 solar cycles in the system's measurement. Marcus did a quick calculation. That was almost 2 months. This alien warrior had been pursuing enemies on foot for 2 months while his ship sat dead in space. The dedication was incredible, but it also meant the warrior was probably dead by now. Ship can now function, the AI continued. Systems restored to 73% efficiency. Weapon systems operational. Can you pilot ship to find warrior? Marcus laughed despite the tension. I can't pilot this thing. I don't even know how to read your controls. Ship can teach. Emergency protocols allow for temporary pilots in extreme circumstances. The offer was tempting in a way that scared Marcus. The ship was obviously advanced beyond anything humans had developed, and the chance to actually fly it was an opportunity that would never come again. But it also meant getting involved in an alien war that was none of his business. What about the enemies? Marcus typed. These Veltar raiders you mentioned? Veltar are savage species. Take prisoners for food and sport. Kill any who interfere. Very dangerous for small, weak human. Marcus winced at the repeated insults to his size and strength, but he was beginning to understand that this was simply how the ship's AI categorized different species. To a race of warriors, humans probably did seem small and weak. Ship has tracked Zarthak's pursuit path, the AI continued. Last known location was Kepler Station in Asteroid Field. Veltar base nearby. Warrior likely captured or dead. Marcus knew Kepler Station. It was a rough mining outpost about 6 hours away by fast ship. If this Zarthak was still alive, he was probably in serious trouble. The asteroid field was full of pirates and criminals who wouldn't hesitate to kill anyone who threatened their operations. Why should I help? Marcus found himself typing. The ship's response surprised him. You repaired ship when not required. You showed honor to warrior's property. Kethver code demands response to such honor. Marcus stared at the display, realizing he had accidentally involved himself in some kind of alien honor code. By fixing the ship, he had apparently earned some kind of debt or obligation from its owner. The implications were both thrilling and terrifying. Marcus wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag, the familiar smell of engine oil and metal filling his nostrils. His small repair shop sat on the edge of New Terra Station, where most decent mechanics wouldn't bother working. The rent was cheap and the clientele was rough, but Marcus had built a reputation for fixing anything that flew, crawled, or hovered through space. The morning alarm chimed softly as he opened the bay doors, revealing the endless black of space dotted with distant stars. 3 ships waited in his queue already, but none of them looked particularly challenging. A transport with a faulty navigation system, a mining vessel with engine troubles, and something else covered by a tarp in the corner. Marcus grabbed his coffee and walked over to inspect the covered ship. When he pulled away the tarp, he stopped dead in his tracks. The vessel before him was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its hull was a deep purple color that seemed to shift and change in the light, almost alive. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with an inner light. The ship was roughly the size of a small fighter, but its design was completely alien. What the hell is this thing? Marcus muttered, running his hand along the smooth surface. The metal felt warm to the touch, almost organic. He walked around the ship, noting the intricate patterns carved into its hull and the unusual engine configuration at the rear. A datapad lay on his workbench with a note attached. The previous owner had left it there sometime during the night, along with a substantial payment in universal credits. The note was brief. Ship found drifting in the outer rim, previous owner unknown. Fix whatever's wrong with it. Keep it if you can get it running. Marcus had seen plenty of abandoned ships over the years, but this one was different. Most derelicts were beaten up, damaged by combat or neglect. This ship looked pristine on the outside, as if it had been carefully maintained until very recently. Yet when he tried to power it up, nothing happened. The ship was completely dead. He spent the next hour trying to find an access panel or maintenance hatch. Human ships had standardized entry points, but this alien vessel seemed to follow completely different design principles. Finally, he found a section of the hull that yielded to pressure, revealing a complex interior filled with components he didn't recognize. The technology inside was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Crystalline structures pulsed with faint energy, connected by what looked like metallic veins running throughout the ship. Everything was integrated in ways that seemed impossible, as if the ship had been grown rather than built. Marcus pulled out his scanner and began taking readings. The power core was unlike anything in his technical manuals. It seemed to be some kind of biological-mechanical hybrid, with organic components interfaced directly with advanced electronics. Most of the systems showed signs of severe energy depletion, as if the ship had been running on emergency power for months before finally dying. Okay, let's see what we're dealing with here, Marcus said to himself, a habit he had developed during years of working alone. He began tracing the power systems, following the metallic veins from component to component. The more he studied the ship, the more impressed he became with its design. Every system was interconnected, creating redundancies and efficiencies that human engineers could only dream of. After several hours of careful examination, Marcus began to understand the ship's basic layout. The power core was definitely the main problem. It had several damaged connections and what appeared to be some kind of biological infection affecting its organic components. He had never seen anything like it before. But the principles seemed similar to repairing any complex system. The work was delicate and required tools he had to modify specifically for the alien technology. Marcus found himself completely absorbed in the challenge, forgetting about his other customers and working late into the station's artificial night cycle. The ship's systems were responding to his repairs, showing signs of life for the first time since he had uncovered it. As he worked, Marcus began to notice strange details about the ship's construction. There were what looked like sleeping quarters, but they were designed for a creature much larger than a human. Claw marks scored some of the interior surfaces, and there were feeding systems that suggested the ship's owner had been carnivorous. The weapon systems were particularly impressive. The ship was clearly designed for combat, with energy projectors and defensive systems that were far more advanced than anything in human space. Yet despite its obvious military purpose, there was something elegant about the design, as if it had been built by a race that viewed war as an art form. By the time Marcus finally took a break, he had managed to restore partial power to several systems. The ship's internal lights flickered to life, casting strange shadows throughout the interior. He could hear the faint hum of systems coming online, and several displays began showing information in an alien script he couldn't read. Marcus stepped back to admire his work, feeling a sense of satisfaction he rarely experienced with routine repairs. This ship was special, and he was beginning to understand why someone had been willing to pay so much to have it fixed. The technology alone was worth a fortune, assuming he could figure out how to replicate it. He was about to call it a day when he noticed something moving on one of the displays. The alien script was changing, shifting into patterns that almost looked like they were trying to communicate something. Marcus leaned closer, studying the symbols as they rearranged themselves. Suddenly, the ship's communication system activated with a burst of static. Through the interference, Marcus could hear something that made his blood run cold. It was a sound unlike anything he had ever heard, somewhere between a roar and a scream, filled with pain and rage. The transmission lasted only a few seconds before cutting off, leaving the ship in silence once again. Marcus stood frozen, staring at the communication display. Someone or something was trying to reach this ship, and based on that sound, he wasn't sure he wanted to meet them. He looked around his shop, suddenly aware of how isolated he was on the edge of the station. Whatever had made that sound was looking for this ship, and now that he had restored its power, they might be able to find it. Marcus spent the next 3 hours learning to pilot the alien ship, and it was unlike anything he had ever experienced. The controls were intuitive once the AI explained them, responding to both touch and mental intention through some kind of neural interface. The ship seemed to anticipate his movements, making piloting feel more like a conversation than operating a machine. Human learns quickly, the AI commented as Marcus successfully completed his 5th practice maneuver around the station. Adaptation speed exceeds expectations. Thanks, I think, Marcus replied, still getting used to the ship's ability to read his vocal patterns directly. How are human reflexes compared to your warrior? Zarthak response time, 0.03 seconds. Human response time, 0.11 seconds. Difference significant but workable for basic combat. Marcus wasn't sure whether to be insulted or impressed that he was only 4 times slower than an alien super warrior. The ship's systems seemed designed to compensate for pilot limitations anyway, providing tactical assistance and automated defensive responses. The journey to Kepler Station took longer than Marcus expected because he insisted on staying in normal space rather than using the ship's faster-than-light drive. The alien technology was too advanced for him to trust with hyperspace jumps, and he wanted to maintain some level of caution despite his growing confidence with the vessel. During the flight, The AI shared more information about the Kethvar and their warrior culture. They were apex predators from a high-gravity world, standing nearly 3 meters tall with natural weapons and incredible physical strength. They lived by a strict honor code that valued courage, loyalty, and strength above all else. Zarthak is pack leader, the AI explained, responsible for 12 warriors. When Veltar raiders attacked trading post, pack scattered. 3 warriors captured. Zarthak swore blood oath to recover them. What happens if he fails? Marcus asked. Honor death. Cannot return to clan without packmates or proof of their deaths. Will fight until killed or successful. Marcus was beginning to understand the gravity of the situation. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was a matter of life and death for the alien warrior. The honor code meant Zarthak would never give up, even if it meant dying in the attempt. Kepler Station appeared on the ship's sensors long before Marcus could see it visually. The asteroid field was massive, with countless rocks drifting in complex patterns around the small mining outpost. The station itself looked like it had been built from salvaged parts, with various modules and docking bays attached in a haphazard manner. Veltar base detected, the AI announced. Large asteroid 3 kilometers from station. Multiple ships present. Strong defensive positions. Marcus studied the tactical display, noting the positions of various vessels around the base. Most were small raiders and transports, but there were several larger ships that looked like they could cause serious problems. The base itself was carved into a massive asteroid, with weapon emplacements covering all the obvious approach routes. Can we scan for life signs? Marcus asked, scanning now. Multiple Veltar biosignatures detected. Also detecting 3 Kethvar life signs in lower levels of base. Weak but alive. Marcus felt a surge of excitement. The captured warriors were still alive, which meant the rescue mission was still possible. But it also meant they were probably being held in the most secure part of the base, making extraction extremely difficult. Any sign of Zarthak? He asked. The AI was quiet for several moments as it conducted a more detailed scan. Kethvar biosignature detected on station surface, very weak. Appears to be injured and hiding. Marcus directed the ship toward Kepler Station, using the asteroid field for cover. The mining station's sensors were primitive compared to the alien ship's stealth systems, so they approached undetected. As they got closer, Marcus could see the damage that had been done to the station's outer sections. Scorch marks and hull breaches suggested recent combat. There, the AI said, highlighting a section of the station's lower levels. Zarthak's life sign strongest in abandoned maintenance sector. Marcus brought the ship in close to the station's hull, using magnetic clamps to attach to an old docking port that appeared to be out of service. The station's automated systems didn't even register their presence. Stay with the ship, Marcus told the AI as he gathered his tools and a portable scanner. If this goes wrong, get out of here and find someone else to help. Negative. Kethvar honor code requires assistance to allies. Ship will remain until mission complete or destroyed. Marcus sighed, realizing he was dealing with an alien culture that took loyalty very seriously. He made his way through the ship's airlock and into the station's abandoned sections, following the scanner's readings toward the wounded warrior. The station's lower levels were a maze of maintenance tunnels and storage areas. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows, and the air recycling system struggled to keep up with basic life support. Marcus moved carefully, aware that the Veltar raiders probably had patrols throughout the station. He found Zarthak in what had once been a water recycling plant. The alien warrior was even more impressive than Marcus had imagined, despite being clearly wounded and weakened. He stood nearly 3 meters tall with a powerful build that spoke of incredible strength. His skin was a dark green color with natural armor plating, and his hands ended in retractable claws that could probably tear through steel. But it was Zarthak's injuries that caught Marcus's attention. The warrior had multiple wounds that looked like energy weapon burns, and one of his arms hung useless at his side. He had been surviving on stolen food and water for weeks, slowly dying while planning his next move against the raiders. When Zarthak spotted Marcus, his reaction was immediate and violent. Despite his injuries, the warrior moved with frightening speed, grabbing Marcus by the throat and lifting him off the ground with one hand. Veltar spy, Zarthak growled in accented but understandable English. Come to finish what your packmates started? Wait, Marcus gasped, barely able to speak. I'm human. I fixed your ship. Zarthak's eyes widened slightly and his grip loosened just enough for Marcus to breathe. Ship is dead. Lost in battle. No, Marcus croaked. I repaired it. It's here. It brought me to find you. The warrior studied Marcus for a long moment, his alien features unreadable. Then he set Marcus down gently, though he remained ready to attack if this turned out to be a trick. Prove it, Zarthak demanded. Marcus activated his communicator, connecting to the ship's AI. Tell him, he said simply. Zarthak's voice echoed through the maintenance tunnels, translated by the ship's systems. Pack leader, ship systems restored by human ally, ready for combat operations. The effect on Zarthak was immediate and dramatic. The proud warrior actually dropped to one knee, pressing his uninjured hand to his chest in what was clearly a gesture of respect. Human, he said, his voice filled with wonder. You have returned my honor to me. Marcus helped Zarthak back to the ship, supporting the massive warrior as best he could. Even injured and weakened, the alien was incredibly heavy, and Marcus struggled to keep them both moving through the station's maintenance tunnels. Zarthak's injuries were worse than they had appeared initially, with internal damage that was slowly killing him despite his incredible constitution. Packmates still alive, Zarthak insisted as they made their way through the abandoned sections. Heard their calls 2 days ago. Veltar keeping them for arena fights. Arena fights? Marcus asked, though he had a sinking feeling he already knew the answer. Veltar enjoy watching strong warriors fight to death for entertainment. Captured Kethavar valuable prize. Will be saved for special occasions. The ship's AI had been monitoring their conversation and provided additional context when they reached the vessel. Veltar raiders operate gladiatorial combat for profit. Strongest prisoners kept alive for high-value matches. Weaker captives used for immediate entertainment or food. Marcus felt sick at the casual way the AI described the raiders' practices, but he forced himself to focus on the immediate problem. Zarthak needed medical attention, and they needed to plan a rescue mission for his packmates. The ship's medical bay was designed for Kethvar physiology, with treatment systems that Marcus couldn't even begin to understand. Fortunately, the AI was able to operate the equipment automatically, scanning Zarthak's injuries and beginning treatment procedures. Severe energy weapon damage to internal organs, the AI reported. Multiple fractures in exoskeleton. Malnutrition and dehydration significant. Treatment will require 6 hours for basic stabilization. Zarthak struggled against the medical restraints, his warrior instincts rebelling against being helpless even for medical treatment. No time, packmates in danger. Must attack now. You'll die if you don't get treatment, Marcus said firmly. And your packmates will die too. We need a plan. The next few hours were tense as the ship's medical systems worked to repair the warrior's injuries. Marcus used the time to study the Veltar base, analyzing its defenses and looking for weaknesses. The AI provided tactical assessments and suggestions, but it was clear that a direct assault would be suicide. Base has 37 Veltar defenders, the AI reported. Multiple weapon emplacements, shield generators, and early warning systems. Frontal assault probability of success 12%. What about stealth infiltration? Marcus asked. Single operative infiltration probability 38%. Extraction with 3 prisoners 19%. The numbers were grim, but Marcus was beginning to form an idea. The ship's stealth systems were incredibly advanced and the Veltar technology seemed primitive in comparison. If they could get close enough to the base without being detected, they might be able to cause enough chaos to cover a rescue attempt. Zarthak's treatment progressed faster than expected, his alien physiology responding well to the ship's medical systems. After 4 hours, he was able to sit up and take solid food, though he was still far from full strength. Human has honor, Zarthak said as Marcus brought him a meal. Risked life for stranger's cause. This creates blood debt between us. I'm not looking for payment, Marcus replied. I just want to help get your people back. Not payment, honor bond. You are pack brother now. Kethvar law says your enemies are my enemies. Your victories are my victories. Marcus wasn't entirely comfortable with the implications of an alien honor bond, but he could see that this was important to Zarthak. The warrior culture clearly took such things very seriously, and refusing might be seen as an insult. Ship ready for combat operations, the AI announced. Warrior health at 67%. Weapon systems fully operational. Zarthak stood slowly, testing his mobility. He was still favoring his injured arm, but the deadly grace was returning to his movements. We attack at next dark cycle. Veltar vision poor in darkness. Actually, I have a different idea, Marcus said. What if we don't attack the base directly? Both Zarthak and the ship's AI seemed puzzled by this suggestion. Explain, Zarthak said. Marcus called up the tactical display highlighting the various ships around the Veltar base. They have a lot of small raiders, but there are 3 larger ships that are probably their main combat vessels. If we disable those ships first, the base becomes much more vulnerable. Ship-to-ship combat requires pack coordination, Zarthak objected. Single vessel cannot engage multiple enemies successfully. Not if we're smart about it, Marcus said. Your ship has stealth capabilities they can't match. We hit them one at a time, fast strikes before they can coordinate a response. The AI seemed intrigued by the strategy. Human tactical thinking shows merit. Sequential engagement would prevent coordinated defense. Stealth systems provide significant advantage. Zarthak studied the display for several minutes, his alien features thoughtful. Human thinks like hunter, not warrior. Use cunning instead of strength. This has wisdom. They spent the next hour refining the plan. The ship would use its stealth systems to approach each target individually, disable them with surgical strikes, then withdraw before the other ships could respond. Once the major threats were eliminated, they would assault the base directly to rescue the captured warriors. Veltar ship designs analyzed, the AI reported. Primary weakness appears to be power distribution systems. Single shot to main conduits will disable propulsion and weapons. How long before they can repair the damage? Marcus asked. Estimated repair time for experienced crew, 4 hours minimum. Veltar technical skills suggest 8 to 12 hours more likely. The plan was risky, but it was their best chance of success. Marcus took the pilot's position while Zarthak handled the weapon systems, his injured arm not preventing him from operating the ship's advanced targeting computers. First target approaching, Marcus announced as they moved silently through the asteroid field. The stealth systems were incredible, making them virtually invisible to the raiders' primitive sensors. The first Veltar ship was a converted freighter with bolt-on weapons and armor. It looked powerful, but the AI's analysis revealed numerous structural weaknesses. Marcus brought them in close, using a large asteroid for cover until they were within optimal firing range. Target acquired, Zarthak announced. Weapons locked on power distribution node. Fire, Marcus said. The ship's energy weapons were remarkably quiet, producing only a faint humming sound as they discharged. The Veltar ship's lights went out immediately, and Marcus could see emergency systems activating as the crew tried to understand what had happened. Direct hit, Zarthak confirmed. Target disabled. Moving to secondary target. 2 down, 1 to go, and then they could rescue Zarthak's packmates. Marcus just hoped their luck would hold out long enough to complete the mission. The second target was more challenging. The Veltar ship was a proper warship, sleek and dangerous-looking with sensor arrays that seemed more advanced than the other raiders' equipment. Marcus had to approach from a different angle, using the asteroid field's natural cover to mask their approach. This ship has better sensors, Marcus observed as they moved carefully through the floating rocks. They might detect us if we get too close. Veltar warship stolen from Corvani merchant fleet, Zarthak explained. Technology superior to usual raider equipment. Crew will be more experienced warriors. The AI confirmed Zarthak's assessment. Target vessel showing active sensor sweeps. Stealth systems operating at maximum efficiency, but detection risk increases with proximity. Marcus had to think like an engineer rather than a pilot. The ship's stealth systems were incredible, but they weren't perfect. If the Veltar warship was actively looking for threats, they might spot the energy signature or gravitational distortion from the Kethvar vessel. What if we don't approach directly? Marcus suggested. Can we fire through the asteroid field and use the rocks to hide our position? Weapons effective at extended range, the AI confirmed. Targeting accuracy reduced but acceptable for large targets. Zarthak considered the strategy. Warrior's instinct says close with enemy, but human cunning has wisdom. We strike from shadows like night hunters. They positioned themselves behind a large asteroid, using its mass to hide their heat signature, while the ship's sensors locked onto the Veltar warship. The shot would be more difficult at this range, but it would also give them time to escape if things went wrong. Target acquired, Zarthak announced. Power distribution system visible. Shot will be challenging but possible. Take your time, Marcus said. We only get one chance at this. the weapons charged with a deep humming sound that Marcus could feel through the ship's hull. Zarthak's targeting was incredibly precise, compensating for the asteroid field's gravitational effects and the target's movement patterns. "Firing," Zarthak said. The energy beam lanced across space, threading between asteroids with mathematical precision. It struck the Veltar warship's power core directly, and the entire vessel went dark instantly. Emergency lights flickered on moments later, but the ship was clearly disabled. "Excellent shot," Marcus said, genuinely impressed by the alien warrior's skill. "Pack leader must be expert marksman," Zarthak replied with what might have been modest pride. "Ship makes precision possible, but warrior provides judgment." The third target was the most dangerous. It was another converted freighter, but this one had been heavily modified with additional weapons and armor. More importantly, it was positioned close to the base itself, where the crew could call for reinforcements if they detected an attack. "Final target will be most difficult," the AI warned. "Proximity to base means limited escape routes if discovered." Marcus studied the tactical display, looking for any advantage they could exploit. The ship was patrolling in a predictable pattern, but it stayed close to the base's defensive perimeter. Any attack would have to be quick and decisive. "Can we disable their communications before we attack?" Marcus asked. "Possible," the AI replied. "Communications array separate from main power grid. Single precision shot could disable transmissions without affecting life support." It was risky, but it would prevent the ship from calling for help. Zarthak aligned the weapons for an even more difficult shot, targeting the small communications array on the ship's dorsal hull. The first shot was perfect, taking out the communication system without triggering any obvious alarms. The second shot, delivered 30 seconds later, disabled the ship's main power grid and left it drifting helplessly in space. "All primary targets neutralized," the AI reported. "Base defenses reduced by estimated 73%. Marcus felt a surge of satisfaction at their success, but he knew the most dangerous part was still ahead. Getting inside the base and rescuing the prisoners would require them to abandon the ship's protection and fight their way through whatever defenses remained. "Time for ground assault," Zarthak said, his voice filled with anticipation. Despite his injuries, the warrior was clearly eager for direct combat. The ship approached the asteroid base using maximum stealth, landing in a natural crater on the far side from the main installations. The base's sensors were focused outward, watching for approaching ships rather than something that might already be on the asteroid's surface. Marcus gathered his tools and a portable scanner while Zarthak checked his weapons. The alien warrior carried what looked like a combination energy rifle and melee weapon, along with several smaller devices that Marcus didn't recognize. "Base layout analyzed," the AI reported. "Prisoner holding area located in lower levels. Maximum security section. Estimated 12 Veltar guards between entry point and target. Can you stay in contact with us inside the base?" Marcus asked. "Limited communications possible through base's own network. We'll monitor situation and provide tactical support when feasible." They made their way across the asteroid's surface to a maintenance airlock that the ship's sensors had identified as lightly guarded. The base was larger than it had appeared from space, with multiple levels carved deep into the rock. Emergency lighting and atmospheric processors gave it an industrial feeling that reminded Marcus uncomfortably of a prison. The first two Veltar guards went down before they even knew they were under attack. Zarthak moved with terrifying efficiency, his injuries not slowing him down when combat began. The guards were reptilian creatures with natural armor and multiple arms, but they seemed slow and clumsy compared to the Kethvar warrior. "Veltar rely on numbers and dirty tactics," Zarthak explained quietly as they moved deeper into the base. "Individual combat skills limited, but they are cunning and will use any advantage." Marcus was beginning to understand why the Kethvar were such feared warriors. Zarthak moved through the base like a force of nature, anticipating threats and eliminating them with clinical precision. Even injured and outnumbered, he was clearly the apex predator in any engagement. They reached the prison level without triggering any major alarms, though. The escape from the asteroid base was harrowing but successful. Once all 5 of them were aboard the ship, Marcus engaged the stealth systems and pulled away from the base before the Veltar could organize a proper pursuit. The disabled raider ships were still drifting helplessly in space, their crews working frantically to restore power. Marcus had expected the rescued warriors to be relieved or grateful, but instead they seemed energized by the successful mission. They spoke rapidly in their own language, gesturing animatedly as they discussed what had happened. The ship's medical bay was soon busy treating their injuries, though none of them seemed particularly concerned about their wounds. "Pack reunited," Zarthak said to Marcus as they watched the asteroid base recede on the rear displays. "Honor restored. Blood debt remains between us." "I told you I don't want payment," Marcus replied. "I'm just glad we got them out." "Not payment. Bond," Zarthak corrected. "You are a pack brother now. This cannot be changed." Sharna approached them, moving with the fluid grace Marcus had noticed earlier. Up close, she was even more impressive than Zarthak, with scars that spoke of many battles and eyes that seemed to see everything. "Human fought well," she said in accented English, "showed courage against superior numbers." "This is unexpected." "Why unexpected?" Marcus asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. "Humans are unknown species, no reputation for combat. Small size suggests weakness, but actions show different truth." The other two warriors, who introduced themselves as Korth and Velran, seemed equally puzzled by Marcus's involvement in the rescue. They studied him with open curiosity, apparently trying to reconcile his physical appearance with his actions. "Ship reports human repaired major battle damage without assistance," Velran said. "Complex repairs requiring advanced technical knowledge. This also unexpected." Marcus was beginning to understand that he had accidentally become something of a celebrity among the Kethvar. His combination of technical skills and willingness to fight had apparently impressed them more than he realized. The journey back to New Terra Station took several hours, giving Marcus time to learn more about his new alien allies. The Kethvar were fascinating in ways he hadn't expected. Despite their warrior culture, they were also highly intelligent and technologically advanced. Their society valued knowledge and skill almost as much as combat prowess. "Human species shows potential," Sharna observed during one of their conversations. "Small size could be advantage in certain combat situations. Technical abilities clearly superior to most species. Most species don't value technical knowledge," Zarthak added. "See repair work as beneath warriors' attention. Human shows wisdom in understanding importance." Marcus learned that the Kethvar operated in small packs throughout the galaxy, serving as mercenaries, explorers, and sometimes protectors of weaker species. They had no central government, but maintained their culture through shared traditions and honor codes that bound individual packs together. "We hunt those who prey on the weak," Korth explained. "Veltar raiders are ancient enemy. Take pleasure in causing suffering to helpless victims." "What will happen to the base now?" Marcus asked. "Other packs will learn of our success," Zarthak said with satisfaction. "Veltar will find no safe harbor in this sector. Their raids will end." When they reached New Terra Station, Marcus expected the Kethvar to take their ship and leave. Instead, they seemed interested in staying longer, particularly after they saw his repair shop. "Human workspace shows impressive organization," Sharna observed, studying his tools and equipment. "Many species represented in repair manuals. Technical knowledge spans multiple technologies." "It's just my job," Marcus said, though he was pleased by their approval. "I fix whatever people bring me." "Ship requires additional repairs," Zarthak announced. "Damage from rescue mission needs attention. Also wish to upgrade certain systems based on human suggestions." Marcus was surprised. "What suggestions?" "Human tactical thinking during mission showed merit. Ship's AI recorded all innovations. Wish to integrate human approaches with Kethvar technology." The next few days were unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. Working with the Kethvar on their ship was like getting a graduate education in advanced engineering. Their technology was incredibly sophisticated, but they were eager to learn from his different perspective. Human solutions use less resources, Velran observed as Marcus showed them a more efficient repair technique. Kethvar methods emphasize strength and durability. Human methods emphasize efficiency and adaptability. Both approaches have merit, Sharna added. Combination could produce superior results. Marcus found himself designing hybrid systems that combined human engineering principles with Kethvar technology. The results were remarkable, creating improvements that neither species could have achieved alone. Word of the unusual collaboration spread quickly through the station. Other mechanics came by to see the alien ship, and Marcus found himself explaining Kethvar technology to curious colleagues. The station's administrators were initially concerned about having armed aliens on board, but the Kethvar's reputation for honor and their obvious friendship with Marcus eased most fears. "You've become quite famous," said Elena Vasquez, another mechanic who ran a shop near Marcus's. "Half the station is talking about the human who befriended alien warriors." "I just fixed their ship," Marcus protested. "Anyone would have done the same thing." "No," Zarthak said, overhearing the conversation. "Most species would have reported ship to authorities for reward. Human chose to repair and return property to rightful owner. This shows honor." The Kethvar's respect for Marcus seemed to grow daily as they worked together. They began teaching him combat techniques and warrior traditions, while he shared human engineering knowledge and problem-solving approaches. "Pack brothers should understand Kethvar ways," Sharna said during one of their training sessions. "Honor bond creates mutual obligations. We protect you, you protect us. What if I can't protect you?" Marcus asked. "I'm not a warrior like you." "Every warrior has different strengths," Korth replied. "Your strength is knowledge and courage. Both are valuable in combat." Marcus was beginning to understand that his relationship with the Kethvar was more significant than he had realized. By saving their ship and helping with the rescue mission, he had become part of their pack in a way that had serious implications for his future. But as he watched the warriors working on their ship with enthusiasm and genuine friendship, Marcus realized he didn't mind the implications at all. For the first time in years, he felt like he was part of something larger than himself. 3 weeks after the rescue mission, Marcus's life had changed in ways he never could have imagined. His small repair shop had become an unofficial embassy between humans and Kethvar, with other packs stopping by to meet the human who had earned warrior status through honor and courage. The modifications to Zarthak's ship were nearly complete, creating a hybrid vessel that combined the best of both species' technologies. The improvements were so significant that other Kethvar packs were requesting similar upgrades, turning Marcus's shop into the most sought-after repair facility in the sector. "Human innovations exceed expectations," announced pack leader Morgak, a massive Kethvar warrior who commanded 3 ships and had come specifically to meet Marcus. "Integration of human efficiency with Kethvar durability creates superior combat systems." "It's really just basic engineering," Marcus protested, though he was secretly pleased by the praise. "You look at what works and find ways to make it work better. Simplicity of explanation shows wisdom," Morgak replied. "Most species overcomplicate solutions. Human approach shows clear thinking." The respect Marcus had earned among the Kethvar was creating opportunities he had never dreamed of. Several packs had offered him positions as their technical specialist, with salaries that would make him wealthy beyond imagination. But more than the money, it was the sense of purpose and belonging that appealed to him. "Station administrators request meeting," Zarthak informed Marcus one morning. "Wish to discuss formal agreements for Kethvar presence." Marcus wasn't surprised. The station's profits had increased dramatically since the Kethvar had started using it as a regular stop. Their reputation for honor and their obvious friendship with Marcus had attracted other species who valued doing business with trustworthy partners. The meeting with Station Administrator Chen was productive but complicated. The administrator was clearly pleased with the increased business, but concerned about the long-term implications of hosting a Kethvar pack permanently. "We appreciate the economic benefits," Administrator Chen said carefully, "but some residents are nervous about having alien warriors living here permanently." "Understandable concern," Zarthak replied. "Kethvar presence can be intimidating to species unfamiliar with our ways, but Pack Brother Marcus vouches for Station's honor. This makes you allies under our code." "What does that mean exactly?" Chen asked. "Means Station under Kethvar protection," Sharna explained. "Any who threaten Station or its people become our enemies. Raiders and pirates will avoid this sector." Marcus could see Chen's eyes light up at the implications. A reputation for Kethvar protection would make New Terra Station one of the safest places in the region, attracting even more business from species who valued security. "What would you need from us?" Chen asked. "Docking facilities for visiting packs," Zarthak said. "Trade agreements for supplies and equipment. Respect for Kethvar customs and honor codes." "And Marcus's continued presence," Sharna added. "Pack Brother is essential to relationships between species. His loss would end alliance." Marcus felt a moment of panic at the implication that he was somehow essential to the arrangement. "I'm just a mechanic," he protested. "You don't need me for diplomatic relations." "Incorrect," Morgak said firmly. "Human Marcus represents bridge between species. Shows other humans that Kethvar can be trusted. Shows Kethvar that humans have honor. Without this bridge, alliance fails." The formal agreement took several days to negotiate, but the final result was remarkable. New Terra Station became the first human outpost with official Kethvar protection, while Marcus became the first human to hold formal rank in a Kethvar pack structure. Pack Brother Marcus, technical specialist and cultural liaison, Zarthak announced during the signing ceremony. Full voting member of Pack with all rights and obligations. The ceremony was attended by representatives from multiple packs, making it clear that Marcus's new status was recognized throughout Kethvar society. He wore traditional Kethvar ceremonial armor that had been specially crafted for his human physiology, and carried weapons that marked his rank within the pack hierarchy. "Feels strange," Marcus admitted to Elena Vasquez after the ceremony. "6 months ago I was just fixing broken ships. Now I'm apparently a diplomatic bridge between species." "You saved their people," Elena pointed out. "That means something to them in ways we're just beginning to understand." She was right. As Marcus learned more about Kethvar culture, he began to understand the significance of what had happened. By rescuing Zarthak's packmates, he had demonstrated values that the Kethvar held sacred: loyalty, courage, and honor. These weren't just words to them. They were the foundation of their entire society. The changes to Marcus's daily routine were dramatic. Half his time was now spent on Kethvar ship modifications and repairs, while the other half involved meetings with various species who wanted to establish trade relationships with the protected station. His technical knowledge made him valuable, but his status as a Kethvar pack brother made him essential. "Human adaptability impressive," observed Velrun during one of their working sessions. "Most species require generations to understand alien technologies. Human Marcus masters Kethvar systems in weeks." "It's not mastery," Marcus protested. "I'm just learning how your technology works and finding ways to improve it." "False modesty," Korth said with what might have been amusement. "Ship performance increased by 37% since human modifications. This is significant achievement." The success of their collaboration was attracting attention from across the galaxy. Scientists, engineers, and diplomats from dozens of species were requesting meetings to discuss the hybrid technologies they were developing. Marcus found himself at the center of a scientific revolution that could change how different species work together. But it was during a quiet evening in his workshop, working alongside Zarthak on a particularly complex repair, that Marcus finally understood what had really changed in his life. "Pack brother thoughtful tonight," Zarthak observed. "Concerns about future?" "Not concerns exactly," Marcus said. "Just thinking about how different everything is now. 6 months ago I was alone most of the time. Now I'm part of something bigger." "Loneliness is enemy of all intelligent species," Zarthak replied. "Humans and Kethvar both evolved as social creatures. Need connection to others for full life." "Is that why you came back to thank me?" Marcus asked. "Not just honor codes, but because you understood what it meant for me to help you?" Zarthak was quiet for a long moment, his alien features thoughtful. "Honor codes important," he said finally. "But honor codes exist because they reflect deeper truths. You helped stranger in need, risked safety for others' welfare. This shows character that transcends species." Marcus nodded, understanding at last. The Kethvar hadn't just adopted him because of their honor codes. They had recognized something in him that they valued, something that made him worth protecting and including in their society. As they worked together in comfortable silence, Marcus realized that fixing that abandoned ship had been the best decision of his life. He had gained not just alien allies, but a family that spanned the stars. And in a galaxy full of wonders and dangers, there was no greater treasure than knowing you belonged somewhere. The alien war beast had indeed come to thank him, but in the process, they had given him something far more valuable than gratitude. They had given him a place in the universe where his skills and character were truly appreciated. Outside the workshop windows, ships from dozens of species docked at the station, their crews knowing they were under the protection of Kethvar honor. And at the center of it all, a human mechanic worked alongside alien warriors, building bridges between worlds one repair at a time.